What's going down? Thor back with another Thor's thoughts. Um, so we haven't done a video in a little while since the WrestleMania videos, and honestly, I'm rolling Han Solo on a gorgeous Monday afternoon / evening. There's tons and tons of snow outside here in what is supposed to be spring, but I digress. The name of this video is not How Much I Hate the Weather, but it's actually called The Most Underrated MCU Movie. So I got 3 that I've been thinking about. And I've been contemplating on these for a minute, actually. This all started, let me kind of backstory on why I'm shooting this video. So obviously Avengers Infinity War is coming out, if you haven't heard, or you've been living under a rock. It comes out in about 2 weeks. Or is it a week? It's soon. It's next Thursday. Thank you, Couch. So it's like a week and a half. So over the weekend, we had a snowstorm. We got like 18 inches of snow in Minnesota. And I was watching MCU movies because I had nothing else to do. Watch Iron Man 1, Thor 1, Thor 2, Captain America, First Avenger, and Ant-Man. As I was watching those 5 films, I started thinking about some underrated MCU films. Films that maybe didn't get the best response when they first came out or got very little response, you know what I mean, from most fans. So maybe some that have underperformed air quotes, because I don't think no Marvel movies really underperformed. But these are kind of MCU movies that I feel have gotten the raw end of the deal. So first and foremost, because one of them was in that list, and my most underrated MCU movie is Ant-Man. Ant-Man was critically acclaimed. It was loved by most fans, I'll say, but a lot of people, they didn't see it because they didn't know who Ant-Man was, or they wasn't sure of the connectivity, or they went back and watched it maybe after Civil War when they were introduced to the character in a more group setting. So that was kind of my most underrated MCU movie. Obviously, in the comment section below, leave your most underrated MCU movie. I do have 2 other ones as I've been thinking about this that I kind of think don't get enough love from the MCU fandom. But Ant-Man, it's a heist movie. It's comedy. The action pieces aren't the best. It breaks down a little bit in the 3rd act, sure, but pushing those things aside, this is a fantastic movie. Paul Rudd kills it as Ant-Man. Honestly, I was saying for like 2 days after watching that movie, Baskin Robbins always finds out, because there's one-liners in that movie that just sticks with you. And then that Michael Pena, him retelling the stories throughout the movie, just that might be some of my favorite non-superhero battle scenes in all of MCU, and maybe some of the best comedy in the MCU, the best used Marvel comedy, again I threw up air quotes, that I've seen. So that was my first initial, when I was thinking of underrated MCU movies, Ant-Man jumped to the front of mine. Then we were sitting here at the spot kind of just chatting about it, and I don't remember if it was the couch or somebody brought up Guardians 2. Now, Guardians 2, a lot of people love, made a ton of money, so it's not really an underperformer. But a lot of people said it wasn't as good as the first one. I actually don't think it's as good as the first one, but I hate comparing first and seconds, because as its own movie, I think it's phenomenal. I mean, in the way that they tell that story of Peter meeting his father, and then how his father actually killed his mom by giving her cancer and a brain tumor, and like has this evil ambition of taking over the world, and then he pretty much has to kill his own dad. That's some raw stuff. It's, again, got some good comedy. I think the comedy in Guardians is, I'm not going to say a lesser quality than the Ant-Man, but it's not quite on Ant-Man's level. So it's maybe just a step under, because some of it misses. The Yondu stuff at the end, I mean, I tear up every time Yondu's like, you know, I might not be your father, but like I'm your daddy, or something like that. Like I get misty eyed. There's some powerful storytelling in that movie. Yes, it's not the space bombastic fun time gala like the first one was, but it's an underrated, I think, MCU movie. I think people hate on it unnecessarily sometimes, or try to compare it too closely to the first one. It's a different story with the same characters, and Baby Groot's fun. The part where they have him go get the fin and he comes back with everything but the dude's eye. There's a lot of good moments in that film. Even the opening scene where they have the music and then fighting that giant squid monster, which I'm not a super big fan of giant squid monsters in movies these days, but it works. So I have 0 complaints. So that's probably my number 2 most underrated. And then my third one is actually a movie that a lot of people, I won't say don't like, but has very mixed feelings on. And I think my third most underrated MCU movie would be Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is probably the least MCU movies of all MCU movies, if that makes sense, because it's really more of a Shane Black movie than it is an MCU movie. Now, Peyton Reed, who directed Ant-Man, did a real good job of, I think, making a movie in his vein that still fit in MCU, and obviously Guardians fits in perfectly with the MCU, so it's kind of flawless. But Iron Man 3 kind of stands apart a little bit in all the MCU movies. If anyone's watching this video and keeps wondering what MCU is, number one, you're probably watching the wrong video, and number two, it's Marvel Cinematic Universe. But Iron Man 3, the way that they swerve you with the Mandarin stuff, people hated that. But as it's been so many years since that movie, the more I thought about it as that movie aged and aged, I love that swerve. I love that swerve. And if there's like a one shot or a one issue comic where it was maybe a double swerve, like he faked being the goofy Mandarin dude because he was really the Mandarin guy, which if they brought back Ben Kingsley and they're like, yes, you are the Mandarin, I think everyone would be like, woo, get it, you know? Like, honestly, I don't know who wouldn't love that. But I like that swerve. I like the, was it the Extremis in that movie where they'd like blow up and stuff, and then Tony Stark dealing with kind of like the PTSD of being in space and kind of all the stuff that transpired after that first Avengers. Because Phase 2, which oddly enough, no, I was going to say all of my movies are Phase 2 movies, but they're not. Ant-Man's a Phase 2 movie, and Iron Man 3 is a Phase 2 movie. Guardians 2 is technically a Phase 3 movie. But with those ones, honestly, Phase 2 is kind of a weird phase for Marvel because they're still feeling it out. I mean, you got Thor: The Dark World, which is probably an honorable mention for me, as well as, and this is something I probably have never stated on a video before, the only MCU movie I never saw in theaters, Captain America: First Avenger. That was the only movie I didn't go see in theaters. Every MCU movie I've seen opening night in the theaters, that was the only one where I wasn't super that interested. I wasn't a big Cap fan growing up. I'm still not a huge Captain America fan. It's not really my cup of tea. You know, I'm more of a, give me a Spider-Man, an Iron Man, a Thor, a Blade, X-Men. I was way more X-Men. I'm an 80s baby who really grew up in the 90s, so X-Men was really my jam. I mean, X-Men the animated series, Spider-Man the animated series, Batman the animated series. That's kind of more my wheelhouse. But I digress. As far as underrated MCU movies go, tell me what you think. Like I said, let's talk about it. Leave some comments in the section below. I'd love to hear some people's thoughts on underrated MCU movies. I think another honorable mention for me would be oh, my brain lost it. So let's just recap. Number 1 underrated Marvel movie for me, Ant-Man. Number 2, Guardians 2. Number 3, Iron Man 3. Honorable mention, Thor: The Dark World. Thor: The Dark World is not super great, but it is a movie that has an Infinity Stone in it. So the more, and you watch every other movie that has something to do with an Infinity Stone, that's really what I'm focusing on making sure I watch prior to Infinity War coming out. Because that's what we need to look at. You know, you look at the Tesseract was prominent in most of the Phase 1 films, and then I just watched the first Iron Man just to see how far we've come. I mean, this has been a 10-year journey that we're be culminating in, 10 days. And I, for one, honestly, my anticipation can be higher. I don't want to see anything or hear anything about this movie. I don't care. I just want to go in fresh eyes, no preconceived notions. I don't care who lives and die. I just want a good story and a great movie, because let's face it, Age of Ultron, Avengers 2, not the best film, and really not loved, I'd say, by most of the fan base. So this is the first really Avengers, quotation marks, because Civil War was pretty much an Avengers film, just with Captain America's name slapped on it, but we'll kind of give that a pass. So the first real Avengers film since Age of Ultron really needs to hit, and being that it is the culmination or the beginning of the culmination of this story, because really what they start in 3, they won't wrap up till 4, but this can't feel like a part 1 of a 2-part movie. This needs to feel like its own movie. And as I'm talking, the trailer for Infinity War is popping up on the TV. There's a TV spot playing, and then it just said it all ends, right? Were you watching that? Like, it literally just said it all ends. And I don't know, does it? Because you still got 4. You still got Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, and then the only 2 confirmed movies post Avengers 4 is Spider-Man 2 and Guardians 3. So, and who knows what's going on with the Fox deal, but we're not going down that rabbit hole. We're not. The title of this video was Most Underrated Marvel Movies. And my picks for the top 3 most underrated Marvel movies were Ant-Man, Guardians 2, Iron Man 3, and honorable mention to Thor: The Dark World. Let me know yours in the comment section below. We'll have videos coming soon, I promise. Oh yeah, shout out to the new set that I did myself. So I'm patting myself on the back. Yes, there's a lot of Thor directly behind me, but I don't need to explain that. And then the 2 bookshelves. It's symmetrical. Symmetrical, people. Like, share, subscribe. Hit that bell for the notifications of when we do live videos or put up new content. Facebook, all those other places. You know where to find us. You know what to do when you get there. Deuces.